Hello, everybody. We are in the RADtalks number 5. Biggest pleasure and joy to introduce a wonderful woman today. So welcome, Vanja. How are you feeling today? Good?
I'm happy because the summer is back.
Yes. What do Vanja and me have in common? So besides both of us originating from the area of Balkans, so Southeast Europe, we also both are crazy about Asia. And we totally love it. And you'll hear more about it later. And besides this, we also bonded on a range of topics in the personal development and growth. And I simply can say I'm very lucky for meeting one of the kindest and most authentic friends here in Brussels. So this is Vanja Kovacević. And welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Vanja hails a long way from her beginnings in Croatia. Life took her to Cambodia, then Vietnam, Thailand, Portugal, and Brussels today. But we can pull the plug here and explain actually how you got to this point in life, right?
Yeah, well, you mean from me being a lawyer, how I transferred to life coaching?
Yes, exactly. I mean, maybe this is not surprising, but I can mention briefly that Vanja is also an IP lawyer, so intellectual property lawyer, who started up 3 companies on 2 continents. And later in life, basically shifted a career to burnout and stress coaching. So how does a lawyer turn burnout coach? Is this a regular path? Is this expected? So tell us, please, Vanja.
Very hard, at least it was for me, to move from my lawyer's identity into something else. And this transition lasted for a long time. And I think it lasts in a way still, because it's kind of we lawyers, it's somewhere ingrained deep in you because it's a profession, and it's also in a way helping people, but how you transfer from that to something else, and in my case to burnout coaching, well, being a lawyer, knowing stress and burnout well, I became a little bit tired and I wanted to make a change. And I wanted to do something that is more meaningful for me.
Yeah, great to hear that. So, I mean, a lot of people are afraid of shifting careers, but actually comes very natural and normal. And sometimes, you end up in something even more suitable than what you begin with. When we were actually talking before this recording, you told me that the origins of your interest in stress relief is dating back maybe some 10 years ago, when you experienced sort of an emotional pain. And later on in life, you would refer to this whole process as the dark night of the soul. And this terminology might be known to some people and maybe not. So I just want to touch, bases with this, what happened, what impact it left on you, and how it all started.
Yeah, as you said, it was a big emotional pain. And I found it at the time, it was external event, of course, which triggered this pain in me. And I found it quite unbearable at the time. I didn't know back then, but now when I look back, it was one of those moments in life that had great impact, maybe greatest in my life, because from that moment on, my life changed completely. Some of these deeply painful moments give birth to something. It gave birth to a big opportunity for me to find, I don't know whether forgotten or unknown part of myself, because I had a need to change my entire life, which I did, but only after I kind of healed in a way.
And this is wonderful that you mentioned, because a lot of us go through similar processes when something big happens, and this big includes usually pain, whether it's a breakup, a divorce, a death, or anything like this. And if we are able to see this as an opportunity, and tap into that, then other things become possible. And what were the beauties of this massive change you experienced in the coming years?
I had the need back then to run away from everything, actually, because I was thinking if I leave where I'm living, if I leave my job, if I change everything, all the external circumstances, everything will change. I brought myself though with me to Asia, but definitely that was a life-changing experience as well, because Asia, for me, that was the first time I lived in another culture. The mere exploration of the way of life there, of people, meeting new people, making friends, learning about the culture. So I guess for me, this exploration of the outer world led to finding my inner freedom. And that's the main, let's say, the biggest gift I think I got. And I discovered another home because Southeast Asia is my home, and more specifically Thailand. And if I need to pinpoint, it's Bangkok, where I felt really like I belong there.
I'm hearing a lot of expansion in your journey, and something you actually talk about in your coaching practice, which is finding balance. And somehow this becomes easier when we physically change our spot where we live and we move on. We get immersed into new culture, right? Is it the same?
That's true. That's true. I mean, you know how people always say you don't need to leave in order to feel free or to become who you want to be. Everything is possible everywhere because it's just a mental construct.
Yeah.
But this mental, it triggers something. This move, it's almost like a rite of passage, right?
Yeah.
So because it's a ritual where when you move, when you leave something, it's like closing one chapter, opening another. So I guess that for me was this leaving, becoming or discovering this part of me and this freedom and this inner personality that was hidden and conditioned for so long. Was I'm not sure if it would be possible if I was stayed at the same place.
So definitely, I mean, change is good. And we would not say change and just don't be afraid of it. We would say feel the fear and do it anyway, right?
Yeah. You know, there is one of my, I just realized because one of my favorite quotes is from Heraclit, because this is what is true, at least true for me. Everything changes all the time. And there is a big beauty and richness to life if we are able to accept that change as normal part, that everything is constantly moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. Like a natural flow of a river. What about, so you spent 5 good years in Asia working in the law industry, very fast-paced, dynamic type of jobs. When did you start thinking of changing actually this career?
Legal work for me had bits and pieces of my passion as well, right? Since I was already deep involved in personal development, I started to meditate when I was 19, when my mom took me to the course of transcendental meditation.
Wow, great.
So, and my mom actually is very, I have a lot to thank to her for opening me up to this sort of unconventional spiritual path, let's say, because, for instance, she introduced me to the notion of regression, which was also in my early 20s. When I realized it's going to be coaching is when I was living in Bangkok. I went to the gym in my building to run, and I met a woman there who turns out to be Chérie Carter-Scott, one of the big worldwide famous coaches, who coaches since 1974.
Wow.
And she happened to be my neighbor.
Amazing.
So yeah, we became friends, and then I learned more about coaching. I went to the course and I started to coach back then.
What about your particular niche? So it's related to stress relief and burnout. How could you explain what a burnout is, or perhaps maybe a better question would be, how does a burnout feel like?
How does it? I can tell you how it felt for me.
Yes, great.
Complete numbness, total exhaustion, irritated with everything and everyone, deep dissatisfaction when you just want to drop everything and hide somewhere, or even you don't understand. One of the biggest problems with burnout is that many people are not aware they are actually on the road to burnout, because you just think you're tired, but it accumulates. So all the stresses accumulate because we never complete this cycle of stress, because tomorrow we go home, we rest, and tomorrow we go to the same place. So it's like a continuous exposure to stress that in the end leads us to be burned out.
Yeah, and this is our modern day society's problem, that also stress is highly accepted and tolerated, and
Even
of course,
encouraged.
and encouraged as exactly so, celebrated in a way, up to a point when we break down.
Yeah.
And this is actually, I mean, do we burn out or we burn down? I think it's both.
That's a good question. What I see with myself, even now, when I'm doing something I really love to do, and I'm not working long hours, I still have periods when I feel the same way when I used to work long hours.
Yeah.
So, but then I know I need to take a break. I literally need to stop, because now I have the power to say, okay, and the knowledge, of course.
Burnout and stress have a hidden needs in them, and typically, usually, it's our own need for a better connection with ourselves, and after that, of course, connection with others. So it can be a good teacher if we're aware enough to catch it, right?
If we are aware enough. The only thing that really helps is to dive deep inside who we are, because the tackling burnout on superficial level is not enough, because it will happen again. But once because it's basically the cause of it is that we constantly try to meet demands of the external, other people, society, whatever, and we have to do that, of course, because I don't know, we need to work, most of us, to survive, right?
Yeah.
But when it's accompanied by chronic self-neglect, then that is what creates actually this point, which after we cross it, it's very hard. We need to do deep self discovery and exploration and acceptance in order to fully recover.
Yes, and yeah, thank you for this. Excellent. This is definitely one of the key questions that I wanted to ask you. What is your approach to stress and burnout? What are Vanya's tools to tackling this?
Discovering our own shadow parts,
Yes.
and accepting them, seeing how we sabotage ourselves. The root is in self-awareness. The root, it's not about seeing I'm not good or I don't do this well. It's not about that. The point is in self-awareness, because because most of us, we react to circumstances and to people and to events from the unconscious, right?
Yeah.
So we don't even think in the moment. But once we become aware how we react, then our reaction is not anymore a reaction, it's a response, because we were able to choose what we want to do with this information we get from the external, right?
So in a way, we break the autopilot.
Yes, exactly. You break the autopilot. So for me, key is awareness, and my work, that's the big, let's say, base of getting people to start see themselves from this point of awareness at every moment. Who am I? What am I doing? What is this? What is happening? What I want to do with this information. Through this, discovering our own negative beliefs, there is a lot of talk about negative beliefs, whether or not they can be changed. Maybe it's not even important that we change them. Maybe it's only important that we become aware of them. Yeah. So then we can choose the action, which is different from our autopilot, right?
Yeah.
Then placing some boundaries, learning where our boundaries are, because boundaries mean personal power.
Boundary, drawing some kind of an invisible line between us and others in terms of what's important for us and what are non-negotiables.
Exactly. And learning how to communicate it to others in a respectful and kind and compassionate way.
Not tough one.
Yes, exactly. Not being rigid, not because sometimes if we are too harsh in setting our boundaries, other people will see that as attack. And then also, of course, I need to mention that because it's really the big part of my work is meditation and breathing exercises. Yeah. And not only for stress release. I believe that meditation changes perspective that we have on life. One of the biggest benefits is the way we learn to watch and notice our thoughts and let them go.
I have to say, so a lot about your work in the stress relief and burnout deals with basically raising awareness of yourself, who you are, what you want, what are your limiting beliefs or just any beliefs. But also there is the change part. And this, in my opinion, is one of the hardest because it asks people to start changing their everyday behavior and pick a behavior that is healthier for themselves. The key of success is to keep going. And eventually, after some time, you start feeling the change. And then the change becomes you. So I want to ask you to shed some light on what is the self-responsibility part when you want to do some change in life and getting out of burnout or realizing what's not allowing you to live in a fulfilled way is a change.
I mean, everything is on us, right? Nobody's coming to save us. If we don't do our work, nobody will. There is nothing without action. The root of the action is self-responsibility.
What about this aspect? So all the studies I looked up on talk about that women are much more likely to suffer work-related stress than men. Can you help us in this?
Women are much more likely to spread themselves thin on many fronts of life. Although the burnout and the personal development path can be same for everyone, it's just maybe social demands are different in relation to men and women.
I hear you totally. And what about, so clearly you support women and recently you hosted a wonderful workshop. Can you tell us more about it? And what was the topic?
Yeah, it was.
And who was in the audience?
It was a group of lawyers, women lawyers from intellectual property world. We were speaking about mindfulness for lawyers, practices of mindfulness and what they can do every day just to get a breather from the obligations and stressful life and to get them thinking, right? Yeah. How they can organize their routines better in order to have better life-work balance.
Okay, well, and now I wanna throw you a quote, which is a part of my spiritual graffiti fun moment with the guests. Just I want to hear what comes up for you when you hear this. It's not the load that breaks you, it's the way you carry it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Not everybody has the same breaking point. Let me put it that way. It's how we process things from the outside. It's our perspective. It's something that's hard for me. Someone else will just, do a little bit and get up and move on. And it's because we are all different and unique. And that's why we perceive life in our own unique way. So for me, this is a nice quote, because it's exactly inner exploration and inner awareness is exactly what will enable us to know which load is too much for us.
Yeah. So, and you, as a burnout and stress relief coach, can help us with understanding how are we carrying all those loads.
Yeah.
Vanya's coaching practice is called Focus Goal Success. I love this name. And we also have a wonderful gift, as always, with the RADtalks number 5. To have a sense and a feel whether Vanya would be a suitable coach for you to help out with the burnout or to prevent a burnout, we decided to give a gift, which is 3 special sessions called Scan Your Burnout Sessions. And you will be able to get them if you contact Vanya.
I kind of find the point where even when challenging things are happening, I am okay. And I really wish everybody to come to that point, because and the path there is actually acceptance, self-acceptance and acceptance of whatever is going on. That doesn't mean not acting. It just means not over analyzing and not resisting on sort of intellectual and emotional level.
Yeah. And accept yourself.
And accept yourself, yes.
It's a beautiful message. I think it is a lot of treasure in it. I know self-acceptance for me was a great milestone in life, and everything shifted from that point. So thank you so much. That's it. That was the RADtalks number 5, soulful conversations with radiant, radical, super cool people. Thank you, Vanya. And we wish you all the luck on your journey.